Welcome back, everyone. My video got cut off yesterday, so it's essentially a continuation from yesterday, but it is the channeled messages now from May 4th to the 8th. Okay. And I was telling you about my self-regression when I finished the last video. And the messages that I was getting just now when I was doing my meditation was of like the little monkeys, and the number 26 keeps coming up over and over and over again, which is the Page of Wands, which is a little monkey energy. So the little monkeys that you've been seeing on Instagram a lot, if you have Instagram, but they're so cute, but they also like take each other's food away from each other. So they're not like, they're not matured, obviously. They're little monkeys. So they also do very loving things like kissing bunnies and things, but they wanted to show me, to show you the difference. They're pure little monkeys, but they still take each other's food away from each other, right? Because they're not grown up yet. They're just being their pure instinctive self and loving self. So both sides of them, the shadow and the light coming out. But it was mostly just showing the glory of this beautiful little baby animal. And then I was getting the energy of something I was doing last night and bringing up the tuning forks for you to play like the monkeys. Play with your energies, with your intentions. If you have an intention to heal, you're not going to do anything bad to yourself. You're just going to get guided to the right direction if you're not doing something that's most beneficial for you. I was doing some handwork when I was before I went to sleep last night in bed. And you can just feel the auric layers around you, as you're laying there. Just literally feel with your hands. And if you can feel any differences on either side, play with the energy. See what you can do to break it up. But you can feel all your different emotions, your different bodies coming closer and closer into your body. And last night when I actually touched my fingers, and I was going over my head and then coming downward over my face, to my body, because I was laying down. And just when I would hit like midpoint, I would get a buzzing in my right ear, which was really interesting because I was getting a literal sound, not just a feeling, but I was hearing a sound just for that split second as it would pass that midpoint, and over it did the same thing until I was able to clear it. So yeah, just play with the energies, have that intention to heal. The energy of the bells, which I was just clearing the cards. But I also just wanted to give you a sample. They were guiding me to give you a sample of the different energies of the tuning forks. And these are from Soma Energetics, and I have nothing to do with Soma Energetics, but this is what I have. And I have this is the crystal 4096, which is good for clearing, just so you can hear the sound of it. It's a very high pitched. And then we have the grounding energy of Om 136.1 here. To see what feels good for you, if you might want to purchase one for yourself. And then we have the pineal gland here. And I was also just getting the pineal gland to use your intention to clear the calcification from not just saying your third eye, but your pineal gland. And then the last one I have here is the love, which is 528 hertz. So whichever sound might have resonated with you the most, you might be interested in. Maybe it's what you need the most. But again, the energy of that monkey was coming up to play with your energies. Be innocent and free. There could be, with the 26 and the Page of Wands, could be new passion projects as well, trying to get something off the ground in that respect. Being excitable. Again, being like the child. Right? Even if you're taking food from your brother or sister, it's in a playful way. They're not doing it to be mean. They're doing it because they're hungry, and that's the only way they know to get their food. So in continuation from yesterday, I was telling you about my regression. And then at the end where I got cut off, I was telling you that I had a pelican lifetime I'd seen as well. It was a very beautiful life of two pelicans, and we used to watch this, what looked like a kind of a Bigfoot man person who was very hairy, but he had a shirt on, and he was doing work in the forest. And we would watch him, and he was our friend, and that would be our entertainment for the day, watching him, because he was very funny to us. But otherwise, it was a very peaceful life for me. It was very loving with my pelican partner. And before I forget too, I wanted to show you this picture of, I forget what they're called. I have it written down after this, so I'll bring it up when it gets here. But speaking of birds, these birds came up with turquoise as well. And I forget what they're called, but you can look them. I'll give you the name in a little bit. I just don't have it right here on this page. But look at these beautiful birds. They came up. Okay. And some of the other pictures of them were more actual turquoise than this blue. But this was such a beautiful picture of the two partners. That energy was also coming up. All right, so we have the next thing that was coming up here. I had pulled from the past life deck, and this was on the 4th. And there's all these duality energies coming up from the past life cards. The angels came up after trust and faith, forgiveness, male, female, the trees and the angels. So it was like anti and for, male, female. Tree angels were also coming up here, but it was coming up as trangels or tri-angels. The sun shining through the left wing or the feminine side, and then the sun shining through the tree, the bird humans, the human birds, and again that brings up that thoth energy that was coming up in my last video as well, and the tree angels being birds, and then Lady Liberty was coming up. The farm and Asia kept coming up, and sunshine on my shoulders makes me happy, and it was specifically coming from the feminine side. An Asian horse farm, Tibet and China were specifically coming up here. But it was also coming up because the energy with wars and battles here was coming up and writing about civil war and Egyptian marriage. So how do we get from Asia to Egypt? And what it had to do with was the initial division after the humans were seated on Earth, and how you got the Asian look as opposed to the other energies. And they were showing me, I don't have the specific information here, but they're showing me the splitting of those two energies after the humans were first seated. So we're having Egyptian energy here and Asian energy. And we have specifically birds and then horses coming up. And then the mother's ease was coming up. So there's this Irish energy that then just came up. The angelic horse with wings, Pegasus, or pegged as us, which is also US, as I ascribe to civil battles. Spouse was coming up. ESP, to use, to dare, ooze, us. And then OUCA came up for a definition for OUSE, which means goose of all things, because I just talked about the goose and the pelicans, and that some geese look like pelicans, and one of them was the ibis, which is Thoth. Poos, which poos means to grow, pulse. By the way, red light was coming up. I actually just got a red light pulse device, so I'll let you know how that goes. To place, lay down, land, lodge, rest, break, pause, and sleep over was coming up from Poos. Also coming up here from the Ascension deck, which I'm going to pull a card again for you today. Ask Poseidon to link you to the music of the spheres, which had been coming up a lot. To access the sounds of your perfect divine blueprint, to reinstate that. And maybe that's why I had to bring up the tuning forks for you today. Hilarion had also come through in a significant way that day. Hilarion was 46, which is the innocent children, and the fifth ray of science and technology, and calling on him to help you learn to channel, if that's what you want to do. Orion had come up with that as well, to call on Archangel Mariel to light up your soul star chakra to facilitate the connection, which is referencing channeling, but 2 separate cards. And then Lord Maitreya also came up to purify, use that pure white light, and he's related to the Great White Brotherhood. And then the card water with 15 came up. And again, talking about cleansing your water, make sure you're sending love to your water and send it around the world. And again, using Poseidon, Neptune energy to cleanse emotions, emotionally based illness, and relationship difficulties. Bless your water everywhere to increase it to the 5D. All right. There's a few conjunctions coming up in May. On the 30th of April, Mars went into its own sign of Aries, which was good for Mars. It's a resonant energy for Mars. May 12th and 13th, Sun conjuncts Uranus in Taurus. All of these are in Taurus. May 17th to the 19th, the Sun conjuncts Jupiter in Taurus. May 22nd to 23rd, the Sun conjuncts Venus in Taurus. And then May 31st, Mercury and conjuncts Uranus in Taurus. And of course, Mercury is very quick. Let's see here. So still on the 4th, I had pulled some cards from the Wild Unknown deck at 555 that day. And the underlying energy was coming up as the cheetah, with the first card out being the lion, and then the firefly and butterfly, and then the camel. The cheetah left, lie on came L. Lion was coming up as red and Leo, and the camel was coming up as blue and Cancer, with bright light and inspiration, and then the perspiration of the other being transformation. The fox and the vulture and the elk was coming up here too, as they're watching, as the collective snake closes off the cycle, seals the deal, so to speak, for the horse to the buffalo to clear the field. And April was coming up as sealing the deal. Like there's this ending in April that is now pushing us forward in May. And horse buffalo is coming up as the horse sees buff. And then just like in the wedding planner, where he says, hello. So the horse sees buff, or the masculine, who says, hello. And then when I went into Spirits Connecting with me, when I went on to Netflix, the first thing up was the wedding planner that night. We have Sagittarius, Aries, Taurus energies, perhaps Virgo there, or June to August transformation. So this time period here. So also the energy of the dragon was then coming up with the Wild Unknown deck, with the sea serpent and the underlying energies after the vulture and the owl looking back at them as the stingray plugs into the dragonfly, into the elephant. In the path of the dragon L, Dr. L, with these childlike energies of the otter and the frog and the bunny, all very young energies. Over time, the frog, right, growing up to be the prince, and then instead of ribbit for the frog, it was coming up rabbit, rabbit, rabbit. Frog to prince, rabbit, and then bobbit was coming up too, as the swans reflect and sacred connect. The hawk and peacock, as news comes in, where the peacock here is coming up as the dragon's eye, that the moth can't resist. Now the moth was coming up as the ear, the mother, and Mother Earth. So the peacock is the dragon's eye that the moth or the mother can't resist. The hawk and moth rushing in to the light of the newbie earthworm, with the cobra here on high alert. Dr. Mother Earth was coming up here. And then moth ear, so it's funny that the ear is coming up to the nth degree, and I just told you about the sound I heard in my right ear. And then the cobra was breaking down as Ko-Be Ray, or Ra, depending on how what your perspective is, where the moth is the dragon's ear and Mother Earth. And then the peacock was coming up as the pea in the pea pod, and also the peer or peer, someone's peer. So the peer or the seer, as the eagle lands, and eagle is E, which means temple. So a lot of times the eagle comes up as the E-gull, as in a seagull. But that was coming up here as the power of the temple. And then the pea in the pea pod is coming up as the pea as the housing, because the pea is the housing of the pin, which is the dwelling. And that came up in Elena's talk about Zion, which I hadn't watched until after this. All right, this division between power and dwelling, where the mountain is the power, but that Jerusalem was the dwelling. That's something that Elena was bringing up in her broadcast. So the pea pod here is coming up as the masculine energy of the eye, the dragon's eye, right? The eagle eye. The Mother Earth being the ears. So here's the mother and the father being the eyes and ears of the earth. The phoenix rising. So the dragon was coming up with the phoenix energy. As the eagle, it dives and lands as the eagle, but then rises as the peacock. And again, referencing that 2 peas in a pod energy. And Taurus was coming up too, because we're in Taurus. Today's the 9th. Actually, I wrote 5-9 right there, and today's the 9th. So 5-9 Taurus. So not just the sign Taurus, but the toroidal field Taurus. And there's something specific about today. Housed at 0 point JC9 regarding today. So that's very interesting. All right, so now we get into we're still on the 4th. So I'd pulled some tea leaves, and then the owl came up, which is the eyes, and then the ear came up with good news. So again, reinforcing the eyes and ears of the earth. The owl with good advice is good advice from a wise person, and the ear with bringing good news. I'd also watched the documentary on the Neanderthals, which they talk about them disappearing 40,000 years ago, and where did they go? Well, of course, we know that that's where the humans were supposed to be seated. And that actually came up for me between all of the research and downloads I've been getting, is in alchemy, you have the ether that becomes the vapor, which is Eden, which then becomes the masculine and feminine into the 4 elements of the earth. So there's like this, how we progressed onto the earth kind of energy here. So also I was guided to the fact that Eden was actually a ship from the ETs that the humans were actually seated on and then placed in different places on the earth. Morocco and I believe Ireland were 2 of the places they were placed. And then I went into energy deck that day, and the underlying energy was the 40 of the 6th chakra and Archangel Metatron. And Metatron was coming up as met at, instead of met at hello on Jerry Maguire, it was coming up as met at row. I just said mutt, so mutt may be coming up too. Met at row. And Jesus, Ron, was coming up here, being on time, sharp, on time. The roe deer was coming up with the ring and the view. And this was just the underlying energy of the Page of Cups, which is actually Ea or Enki energy. And Elena Danan's video is about Zion and how all of the gods come back to El, which is Enlil, Enki's brother, but the one who was parallel with Zeus, but also was not good to the humans, right? Wanted to get rid of the humans as soon as they got too much power. So the 40 is the Page of Cups, the innocent one. And then the cards that came out were the 39 and 38, which is the Queen of Cups and Knight of Cups of the 5th chakra and the throat and Gabriel. And then the 4th chakra of the heart and Raphael. Of the messenger, God's messenger, and then the healer, the physical healer of Raphael. And the 3rd card was the 14 of caring connections, which is a couple loving each other. So here's your Queen of Cups and Knight of Cups coming together in this angelic connection. 14 is the angel, patience and balance, taking one step at a time. And this energy of them coming together. I looked up the numbers that were coming up from the addition of those numbers, 40, 39, 38, and 14. And so I looked up 79, 117, and 131. 79 was Danielle, and this is Gematria. Daniel, Miami, and Link. 117 was Rachel, Ohio, and England, and my daughter was in England the past few days. She's back now. 131 was Andrea, Coca-Cola, and then Inanna. So, and it was funny too, because while she was in England too, I watched Victoria, which some interesting things came up. Schubert came up through Victoria because her husband was sending her letters. They didn't always agree on what music they liked, but Schubert was something he liked, and that'll come up in a minute too. So Gabriel and Raphael came up, and here my guides were showing me the emphasis on El at the end of all the angels. Okay, that control over El, which is not the God, it's an ET God, right? God, Gabriel was coming up as God, 1 and 2, which is the masculine and feminine, are real. And then Gabriel also breaks down to G, which besides God is the C and the T, which is the C of the whispering bench, the bridge, the leap, the connection, the Christ consciousness, and of course that Christ energy, and then the T being top dog. So G literally connects, it's like God and then the bridge to us. And then ABRI came up in the middle of Gabriel, which means to shelter, turn on, begin, open, April. So here's April again, Gabriel, okay, where God shelters by opening things up in April and shelters from El. Raphael was coming up as the Re or Ra, and then pH, which is the pH level, which is again all about balance, and El. And then PHE is to drive, race, and faction of El. The God Re, to shelter, turn on in April, to drive, race, factions of El. So again, separating God from El. The CT of God, of G, and then the R, which is the P of housing with the leg of the R, which is the reaching out to others, and then the L, which also comes up as the where the light bends. Christ source time to house and reach out to L, where the light bends, at the curve, the dome, the cornea. And there's Ia coming up, which is Enki, not Enlil. And corn is also horn, which is referencing the unicorn of Ia. And also Nia is, we have cornea, the core of Nia, which is near Earth asteroid as well. And the flower aster comes up a lot too in messages. And then OID is the human id, as we're talking about little monkeys, right? And met at Rho with the capital N, Ron. So met at hello with N, which is Christ for me. Met at ring, at dear one. Rainwash, a view to a kill, or the ring of fire, which is Lion's Gate, but also birth. So then we have on 5/5 at 12:21 a.m., which is midnight, I pulled cards from the journey of love, and the underlying energy was the 67 Knight of Pentacles of the Swan, the beautiful soul. And this was Sunday. And this was, and the Swan came up also because the song that he liked in Young Victoria, and notice the movie was called The Young Victoria, not Victoria. He liked Schubert and the piece called The Swan. And this just came up in the cards. It had nothing to do with what he said, but I'm showing you how everything comes together at 12:21, no less. The first card out was the 3 of the Burning Hero, and then the 24 of the Space Between. 24 is the Queen of Wands, Omega, and the letter X. 55 is acceptance here, and 55 is the Ace of Swords, the Truth, Excalibur. And on page 18, I'd written down one line from one of the poems there that said, always feeling your love in every cell of my being. And this was like the letters that he was writing to Victoria when he was wooing her. The Knight of Pentacles, humble, loyal swan with the Empress, and the Queen of Wands between with Excalibur. The Empress enlightened to the truth by the Knight of Pentacles, Paramahamsa, the great swan, the soul that moves the souls of others, is reaching to you now. The Guru, the teacher, the light, the love that is all. You are blessed by sacred divine relationship with the essence of love itself that adores you and wants only for you to be free. To love from afar, always share our dreams of what will unfold. In the space between is divine presence. Enter space and let go. For your time, and Spirit's connecting with me like crazy right now. for your time to receive is upon you. Be blessed. So I listened to The Swan by Schubert, so you might want to listen to that to get the energies from it. I pray you will hear my voice in the music I send, is what he wrote to Victoria. You know my love. My love of Schubert, this is his swan song, and I play it with you in my heart. 55 is acceptance. You have offered yourself, and your offer has been gratefully accepted by the divine. Know this and be at peace. Just you to be here, as your next step is about to begin. A friend to share the memories before it's home again. And that was at 12:44. So the song is, I think it's German, Swan, which is SCHWANENGESANG. And Schwan is swan, to sound and resound. And also the constellation Cygnus comes up there of the swan. In the name of swan is ENG and ANG. So this is, again, duality playing out of the E and the A of Adam and Eve and Enlil and Enki. The ENG means narrow, deaf, and dumb, a meadow, small, scary, creepy, tight, wind or wind. Isanga came up, which is island, and Isango, which means to say, or Isan. To sound small, tight, narrow, deaf, and dumb. So there are similar definitions between ENG and ANG, but not exactly. And island without connection. Resounding meadow island. It also comes out as Swan JC singing. God to say, or Swan JC energy of song. And again, the music of the spheres coming up here. And Sophia's HP, which is horsepower, or high priestess. But Sophia's horsepower, again referencing Mr. Ed, and the two U's as one. The ANG is narrow to constrict, nightmare, incubus, eye, angle, track, water basin, yours, and fragrance. So the Swan ENG and ESANG. The Swan ENG was coming up as JC God, narrow, and small meadow, where the ESANG was coming up as one God, narrow, and fragrant water basin. Schwanen means to anticipate, suspect, to smell, and wear swan feathers. Oh, so interesting, because I watched Birdie last night, the movie on Netflix. I think it's just called Birdie, about the boy who wanted to be a bird. And he literally made a pigeon feather outfit to put on him and his friend. So Schwanen, to anticipate, suspect, smell, and to wear swan feathers. And Gesang, G-E-S-A-N-G, means singing, vocals, section of an epic poem or canto like he was writing to young Victoria. And to anticipate the canto. So at 1:23 a.m. here, which is 123 leap, I went onto my iPad to look up something, and all of my windows were closed, but there was a bar open at the bottom that I hadn't noticed before. I hadn't seen it. It wasn't there. So there's one bar open, and I didn't know what it was. And this was As Victoria Marries, and it said Sunday evening, and it was on Sunday. It had just turned to Sunday, because it was midnight, 5:05. But what this form said, and I couldn't remember what it was from, because obviously I had opened it, and it was just hanging out there at the bottom of my iPad. It was titled Sunday Evening, October 5th, 1919, which adds up to 35, which is the Wounded Warrior. And it was titled The Lord's Prayer, The Voice of One. Anthem, page 754, and it was a brochure of what was going to happen on this day, obviously at a church. The first lesson was Exodus XV, and then antiphon was page 192, the male quartet, and then Adoramus T, the Academy School's Psalm, which was XX1X, and the second lesson was Psalm CXLV111, and then Psalm XLV11. the psalmody, page 321, which is the reverse of the 1-2-3 time that I just referenced, and the interlude. And then the third lesson was Apocalypse 5, or V, which was quote unquote great and wonderful, anthem page 758, the assembly chorus, quote unquote, except the Lord build the house, and reading from the writings, hymn 165, the liturgy, page 719, prayer and benediction, quote unquote, pray for the peace of Jerusalem, anthem page 750, and then the postlude at 133. There's that Christ vibration coming up again. So what it was the opening day of Bernathen Cathedral, which I'd brought to you before, and I was looking for that, but I couldn't find it, and it wasn't open before. I don't know how all of a sudden these things open out of nowhere, right? And then there keeps being this reference to a number that combines twin destiny numbers. So I went to bed and wrote bed, and I wrote bend, B-E-N-D, by accident. But there's no accidents. And that was 148 to 149. And then and then Z came up after that, which is XI as opposed to IX of 9. Okay. And Bernathen Cathedral, they're about like the New Jerusalem. That's their thing. So as we go into Sunday, again, I was doing my technique exercise when I wake up in the morning of counting backward from 100 to 0 for 10 days, and then 50 to 0, 20 to 0, and then 10 to 0 for 40 days. So I started May 1st, and this was the 5th day. And I went into a meditation, and this is what I got that day. I was seeing like a fuzzy creature that it reminded me of a bearded like gnome, but it was really just like a fuzzy crescent. And then something was sticking out pointy like a beard, but I wasn't really getting it, but it reminded me of a gnome. And then I was seeing like an angelic feminine energy kind of falling gently backwards. And then I was walking like an Egyptian, and the Egyptian, Serapis Bey, came up. And then I was seeing a pyramid or triangle with a screw next to the top of the pyramid, and it's like someone screwing in at the top of the pyramid. Which again was, getting screwed at the top, or the energy of the cap of the pyramid. I'm just getting now is your head being screwed on too tightly, that expression coming up. And then I was getting, what the hell am I doing here? I don't belong here. What the hell am I doing here? I don't belong here. And then a little girl came up, energy, and then Ra came up, just vaguely passing through. But also I was getting the energy of my son Matthew and my brother Len. My son was coming up as the energy from David. I always feel he's the incarnation of my great-grandfather David. And then my brother was coming up as the bear and the Russian energy. And then from the pointy pyramids I kept getting, because I kept getting these points, like the beard was pointed, the pyramid was pointed, and now I'm getting Mo from The Simpsons. Okay? And they all have like pointy upper jaws, right? And Mo was coming up specifically because he was the most obviously a pointy jaw. And then his boss, Mr. Burns, came up as well when I was looking him up. Then I was seeing a closed door. Ptolemy came up, and the Simpsons, the bird people, and of course Thoth and Ibis were coming up. And then I was seeing a picture of a mouth with a brick in it. The brick in the mouth, so brick in the wall might be coming up here too. And near the end of my meditation there, I got a blast of bright turquoise, which brought up the birds I showed you. And I was rubbing my eyes as Emerald came in. And again, all in all, another brick in the wall did come up, and that was on the 6th, actually, when I went back to look at this. I went to look up Simpson, and the headliner was Netanyahu pick, and I used to get, the Netanyahus used to babysit for us, believe it or not. But I went up to look the Simpsons, and that was the headline of Netanyahu of Al Jazeera will be closed in Israel, banning foreign networks, perceived as a threat to national security. And then the Simpsons creator came up, who's Matt Groening, and this message about him, is he a former CIA agent? Because the show always predicted all these world events. And then Matt was coming up after I just brought up my son, Matt. And then what's thought to be Thoth's counterpart also came up, which is Ma'at, which is like Matt. So all of those things came up. And then that was coming up from Snopes.com about the CIA agent, MSN.com. And again, they were talking about in this article that many episodes have played out, like the Trump presidency, COVID coming, and then their response to that was, if you write 700 episodes and don't predict anything, then you're a pretty bad writer, is what they said to that. So then the number 524 had come up, which is the code for Taiwan. I didn't even notice that before because Taiwan came up yesterday. And I brought up a message yesterday, which we'll get to that at that point. The Mountain Pass came up with Mo, the bartender from The Simpsons. His last name is Szyslak, and I was getting Zion from the SCYS. And I looked up the meanings around that word. And I was getting the mountain pass, the bend in the curve, the bait, chain, rope, and bow. And again, remember the curve that it's talking about. And he was coming up as the foolery, the blame, the indifference, the defect, the shortcomings, the lake dwelling, and there's that home as opposed to the power place. And then the great blue Turaco is the bird that I showed you. I'm not sure if it's pronounced Turaco or Torico, however it is. But the Sislak versus Zach was coming up, and I told you the lack meanings, but then the Zach was coming up as the money bag, the scrotum, like having the balls, whereas the lack was coming up as Mo, the bartender, with being a fool or indifferent, blaming others or having shortcomings. But he was the lake dwelling. He was in the home as opposed to the power of the Zach, the money people, the bag, the ones with the balls. And it came up as a Polish Euro helmet with a lobster tail, is what they called it, to protect the back of the neck. And so the blue Torico is coming up as not the money and the balls, but the indifference, the foolery, right? Like the childlike energy. And the mountain pass, not the mountain, but the mountain pass. So then Thoth and Ibis came up. Sometimes Thoth is seen as the head of the baboon. He's the god, he's referenced as, and again, these are all perspectives because there is often a few different perspectives on the different gods and goddesses of Egypt and Greece, etc. But considered the god of the moon, and it was the new moon. Was it that new moon? Oh no, it wasn't the new moon that day, but it was the energy of the moon that day in my numerology post on Instagram. He's the god of the moon, knowledge, writing, hieroglyphs, and he's actually one of the first energies I saw visually in doing deep meditations with different people. He would come up like walking back and forth in front of a podium, lecturing. Like I get very Aquarius energy from Thoth. But Thoth would come in when I would be channeling my higher self, so it was very interesting. So Thoth and Ibis, again, very connected to the hieroglyphics and languages, again, to Mercury and Gabriel, all those energies. The cult center, Kumuna, which is Hermopolis, and the wing, considered the wing man, or the bird man of Ra, who's considered the sun god. Also, some see Ma'at as his partner, goddess of justice and order, weighing of the heart ceremony in the underworld. the creator, science, philosophy, magic, and religion, and parallel to Hermes. Again, Hermes, Gabriel, Mercury, all of those energies. And some think that Thoth came from the lips of the sun. As I told you in my meditation that morning, I had seen a block inside the lips, but that block could also be the closed door. Or again, it's that reference of shutting up and closed lips. And actually, tais-toi also came up in French. Some believe the birth was related to Horus's semen, where Set was Isis's father, mistakenly came into contact with the semen and out came Thoth from Set's forehead. But yet other energy says Thoth came from the original creation. Shashat goddess is his daughter, very similar to... the daughter is supposed to be very similar to Thoth, and they were said to work on many projects together. Establishment of library, again, living library, and places of learning in ancient Egypt. The goddess of libraries. Some state that Nama-it was Thoth's wife, the goddess of protection, and gave birth to god Nefer-Hor. Or Thoth married Ma'at, and Ma'at's the one with the 42 principles, and Thoth was the framer of those principles and enforcer of them, of the laws of the universe. Okay, so Thoth referenced as the ibis or Jehuti, as wisdom, art, magic, and science, and the priests would put on them the mark of the ibis, and they had to be well educated. Thoth Hermes combo was the appellation Hermes Trismegistus, Trismegistus, Thoth the Great, the thrice great, or 3 times great was the reference to Thoth here. And I've seen lots of different opinions on Thoth, right? Some very positive and others saying it's part of the the false grid network and all that kind of stuff. So, but I've only received positive energies from Thoth. And don't forget that you can see the light or dark perspective in everything. And remember, like the swastika, right? It was initially a positive energy and then was turned into something negative, but that doesn't mean that positive energy isn't still there. So it's what you need to trust yourself and what you're resonating with, because each person's journey is different in what they're supposed to resonate with. You're your own specific fractal of source. So the Thoth literally is considered the counsel and voice of Ra, or the ray of God. The Book of the Dead, with the Book of Thoth came the universal secrets, but was also warned that with these secrets also came curses. Tutmosis, born of Thoth. And I'm going to break down Tutmosis for you because that was very significant here. So ibis is IBIS. I transform, I shift. IBIS, which is a reference to Sophia, not just the masculine energy. So IBE, because the letter B is the word BE, and so it was coming up as ibis instead of IBIS, was coming up as IBEIES. So then I was looking up IBE and IES, one coming up as the masculine and one coming up as the feminine energy. So Iberian came up along with breast and ES to go, fare, intend, cross over, carry on, or move. And the librarian was also coming up for me. Iberia is the area of Andorra in southern France, Spain, Portugal, and Gibraltar. And of course, it's other places like a city in Missouri and a place in Ohio. But it's this energy east of Georgia, Russian Georgia, and the river Iber or Ebro. And there were Celtic energies there too, with the Celtiberian section. The Iberian Peninsula is basically from Toulouse, France, to Gibraltar. So IBE, the first definition was mat. All right, so mat there is coming up again. It also means there and a strip of something, like a strip of land. And that was interesting because Elena talked about, and the person she was on with, who was a religious background of study, the Bible, but they talked about the other mountain next to Mount Zion as being this strip of land. So you can watch her video to see what I'm talking about, but I'm just paralleling that to the messages that I got on the 5th, which was actually before I actually watched their video. So IBE was coming up as mat, and then IES was coming up as ES, or he, someone's yoke, oppression, burden, load, scary or tyranny was also coming up. I leave, exit, to go, and then to be also comes up. To exit, get out, turn out, bone, bait, and carry on, which is a worthless person or dead weight. So we have mat, which can reference ma'at with thoth, but also a strip of something, something next to Mount Zion as well, the other mount. And then we have the energy of being dead weight, a worthless person. So again, this reference, like Mo was being compared to the power people with the money, right? The fool and the controllers. So then I was trying to look up a word that would be IBEIES, but there is no such word, but there is one with a D instead of a B, which means idea, plan, intellect, dense. But idea has to do with intention. And then ibis, the bird definition, comes up with alighting, unloading cargo, right? Lightening things up, to unload the burden, unharnessing relief from pain, hardship, and sorrow. And the word eo comes up with ibis as well, which means to go or proceed, result, prepare, intend, ego, there in that place, to that end and that purpose, day, sun. So ibis means sun, weather, very, tongue, know, you, always, I, and waste, as in to waste something. Sunshine lights, to relieve from suffering or remove the yoke. I be, I am. And the numbers coming up here, I looked up a few of them. This was at 11:21, and I was hearing geese in the distance. I keep hearing them in the distance. They haven't been near me, but I keep hearing them over and over in the distance. 131 is Andrea, Coca-Cola, and Inanna, like I'd brought up before. And 919 came up here, which is Stormy Daniels, which then yesterday came up in the headlines. So funny. She was the first entry for 919, and then the tale of Mary Magdalene, and then hawk and activate. And then I also looked up 918 since I was right there, which means bridge currency, 53, and then God bless you, which also came up with the number 144. Trans-Euro Research, Antichrist Calculator, and the Star of Sirius also came up under 918. Apocalyptic Plans, decode opening the curtains. And then I was hearing the geese in the distance again. So ibis was literally coming up as to be, I am. All right, so I'm going to tell you something else I did just because it parallels with the stuff that was coming up. So this morning was all about Thoth for me, coming through, and I'm going to give you the information about Tutmosis here. But I signed up to do Jen McCarty's meditation for 5/5 later that day. For me, it's after 3 o'clock, and this was in the morning that I was doing all this Thoth stuff. But when I did her meditation, it was all about Thoth and doing the meditation from the pyramid in Egypt, because she had just been to Egypt. But there's that parallel as well. So I had picked up the Atlantis card. The underlying energy was the High Priestess, and cleaning up the dirty waters. So the dolphin picture in the dirty waters kept coming up over and over again as well. And there was this connection of Moses and the Moors coming up. But there was this story about Moses defeating the Moors, but it just wasn't true because they didn't exist at the same time. It was a story that was invented in the Middle Ages. And it was called like a miniature. It was like a reenactment where they would dress up in combat and fight the Moors. Health on the farm, 2 horses and trees with the sun came up again. And then spouses after the Celtic knighthood. And the Celtic knighthood card comes up as like a Neanderthal inside of the Celtic cross. He's got a big body and short legs. And I'd watched Neanderthal the night prior to this. And as the high priestess of persecution and inquisition here, strung up, reflecting the Neanderthal in the Celtic cross. They looked the same. It was exactly the same card in totally different energies, right? One is a church, a Celtic church with the Celtic cross in front of it with this Neanderthal in the middle of the cross. And the other one was literally like a high priestess with her arms up, strung up, being persecuted. So this energy of the Celtic cross and moving into Kundalini and basics of, again, organic versus AI energies, and the farmer's tree. The Thomas the Tank Engine came up, as well as 10-Second Tom from 50 First Dates, and the Bullet Train, which is also a comedy about assassins on a train, and will you make it across without killing each other? The Unicorn and Wisdom, the High Priest or High Priestess coming up here, and then the 2 dolphins of Atlantis. So again, the difference between the dolphin and the porpoise. The dolphin has a curved I'm just blanking out on the name of what that is. But anyway, his is curved and the porpoise is straight. And for me, that always referenced the curve of being friendly and then the porpoise being more serious. But now the fin, thank you, it was the fin. The fin, though, was taking me back to the pointy nose of the Simpsons and the pyramids. They kept giving me this straight and pointy versus curved. And Thoth has that curved beak, right, of the ibis. The dolphin has the curved fin. So the Egyptian Simpsons and profiling pyramids straight. Thoth is Thoth, this energy of infinity. And then the human embodiment is sourced in the middle at 0 point. The dolphin came up as the Dal Phi N, who's friendly. And channeling Thoth was coming up here. Tutmosis, again, is of Thoth, but it's coming up as Tut and Moses. And then Moses, I was going back to Mo again, the bartender from The Simpsons. But Tutmosis comes up as 2 U's, infinitely, condition in condition of co-creation. Tuth means odor, stench, tooth, tusk, and sharp point. Tuth, like a tooth. A spine or prickle on plant, desire or longing. Mose means bog, and moor, here the moors come up, but it also means marshy soil. And the monster mash came up. And a small bird, as opposed to the ibis, a small bird, a titmouse, a coal mouse, moss, to muse, wonder, daydream, lost in thought, which is Thoth. And it's funny because I'd written this and then Jen was talking about the fact that Thoth is the thought of God. So Tuth, again, we're still on that, and then Mose now. Lost in thought, or in Thoth, to worry, complain, agonize, overseas, move and movement also came up. MOSAPL was a word for that. So Thoth equals thought, sharp point, longing, moors, titmouse of the small birds, and Egyptians with long, sharp points, beaks or noses. The Moors with short, pointy, tufted crowns. So they were bringing up the difference between the Moors and the Egyptians here. Where the ibis was coming up as the scarlet. There's an ibis that's beautiful scarlet, completely scarlet red, and can look like a goose, and cardinal red. It's South American and Caribbean, with pointed beaks and nose, whereas the titmouse comes up over here as the songbird, like a mini blue jay. He's got a little point on the top, but they're more blue and gray, and they have a pointed crown as opposed to a pointed beak. Now the ibis on the Egyptian side here is adept at mud. They're very flexible. And remember, mud is where land meets sea. It's a very high and potent energy here, just like where the beach is, right? Between the sand and the water is very significant. The ibis is usually white with a touch of black. And I went into spiritualanimals.com. With purity and mystery, featherless head and neck, quiet and graceful, listening, observation, prayer and meditation. Their community is sacred to them of 300 members and colonies with spoonbills and herons, so they combine other birds along with their group. They're open to others, other like-minded individuals. They even hunt with other birds. They share parenting for about 3 weeks. Work ahead, lessons, communication, discernment, personal development, and trust, encouraging harmony and staying connected, hidden information and secrets, and coming out to clear mud, the discovery of things you don't like, turning negative energy around, self-trust and instincts. When no progress, then move on. Wisdom, all about flocks. And because they're in these big flocks, they can also draw unsavory elements. So be careful of giving too much. It's a positive omen, and to be rational is very thoth. Too many ideas can make you dizzy. Stop and focus one at a time. And again, most significant here was coming out as truth and group goals. Now on the other side with the titmouse, and the blue jay as opposed to the red, so ibis is coming up as the red, and the titmouse is coming up as the blue, like the blue jay, like a mini one. And they came up with hope, optimism, and appreciation of the little things, with grace and ease. The breakthrough around the corner after toiling for many years. Life is about to change completely. Moreover, the tufted titmouse represents the present moment and a step away from the past, to worry less about the future. With chatty song, they're a chatty songbird, expresses and always cheerful, improves self-esteem, funny, uplifting others, kind, generous, nature lovers, curious and highly creative, and they shine in art and music, adaptable, but may have trouble keeping secrets, take responsibility versus blaming, and likable, representing words, thoughts, and shaping your reality. Singing is good fortune, flying as well, forgiveness and baby, a new beginning for you. That was coming up with the titmouse and the blue. So then the word for me, tutti, came up. And tutti is actually the same as T-U-T-H of Tutmosis, because T-U is you in French, but it also is, sound-wise, is the number 2. And T-I for me is source, and T-H is infinity. So it's basically the same thing. But tutti, the word, T-U-T-I, means a guaranteed outcome, a bow, and also T-U-T-O, which means all or every, and safe and secure. Tullius or Tullus. It also means to sleep, tutia. So tutti is also tutti, like a toddler, and tutti, like making a fart. And like I said, tuth, as in Tutmosis, is the same as tutti, you, to, source. And also tutti is also tie, to, as in T-O-O, tie. So the Moors in Spain, around 711 AD, crossed the Strait of Gibraltar from North Africa. The reins of this was the quote on how they came in. The reins of their horse were as fire, their faces black as pitch, eyes shone like burning candles, horses swift as leopards, and riders fiercer than a wolf in a sheepfold at night. And this was coming from blackhistorystudies.com. In Mauritania were the Berber and Arabs, and again, they get connected along the road, right? Berber and Arabs are separate until they came together. So some converted to Muslim or Islam. The Berbers, though, originally were the Amazigh. The singular is Amazigh, and the plural is Imazighen. And I love that word because it's literally imagination. So Amazighen, Amazik, and Imazighen is the plural, but I like the I word because it's literally imagination. So, and I've always gotten that Morocco was one of the first places where the humans were, and the Berbers are still mostly in Morocco, but also Algeria, Libya, Tunisia, Mauritania, North Mali, and Niger, and of course smaller groups in other areas, including Egypt, and I think France was in there too, and the Siwa Oasis. The Berbers descended from the Stone Age tribes in North Africa there. The Amazighens were first mentioned in ancient Egypt writings about 2000 BC, but the Berbers have been there since at least 10,000 BCE. The Berber language in the Nile Valley, the North Sahara. So here's this reference to the Nile again, too, in Mesopotamia. And again, by the 7th to 8th centuries, they were being suppressed by the Arabs. And they don't like being called Berbers because in other tribes' eyes, they were considered, that word means barbarian. So that's why they don't like that name. They much more like the Amazighen. And their flag I thought was interesting too because it's blue, green, and yellow with the Pisces sign on its side, which is in red. So again, the Berbers were from at least 10,000 BCE, and the Atlas Mountains, so there's that reference to the Atlas Mountains, very powerful energy. With knowledge, the Thoth Egyptians were coming up on one side with long, sharp noses, again referencing the throat chakra, intellectual, cardinal, of reds, whites, and blacks. On the other side, we have the Amazighen Egyptians, or the Moors, the Berbers. Now, the Moors weren't Moors until much later on, but they were stemmed from the Berbers, the Amazighen Egyptians. So we have the Thoth Egyptians and the Amazighen Egyptians. But they come up as the short tufted crowns, the songbirds in royal blue of blues, whites, and grays. Very interesting the way that came up. And it was coming up as the Mo love story. T-U Mo love story, right? The top dogs, and then the U is the Holy Grail, and the M-O of their love story. So then Tummo came up, T-U-M-M-O, in Tibetan Buddhism is the fierce goddess. I can't read what I wrote, passion, tantric practice of inner heat, the female deity, and the 6 dharmas of Naropa. But the word Tummo was coming up as T-U again, of you, or two, and then M-M, and then O, which is the human embodiment of source. Also means you, human, the 2 co-creators, embodied by source, the fierce woman, the inner fire, and the Kagyu lineage. And they talked about a 4 chakra system here. They talk about the navel, the heart, the throat, and the crown. And again, the reference of emotion, dharma chakra, and then the throat being enjoyment, and the crown being bliss. This was so funny that the word Tootie came up, because then when I listened to Elena with her co-speaker talking about religion, at the end of it, she literally said, "I don't give a tootie." It was so funny. And she was just referencing what others say, because they were making a point of how all of these ideas were coming together as one. So again, when in Jen's meditation setting, the pyramid came up, the gold cap, and I was seeing the pyramid as violet crystal with silver lining, and purple trees were coming up as well. So I pulled from the Fortune's Oracle that day as the Emperor's birthing energy was coming up from the stars, as the eagle soars over the mountains. Remember, mountain is, that'll come up too, because mountain is, Mound and Tain is the people's remembrance of as far back as you can remember. The hermiting ranger was coming up here. The Lone Ranger. Oh, the hermiting ranger. I didn't get that crossover. It's the Lone Ranger. Oh, very interesting. And is his horse silver? Very interesting. Okay. So the Emperor's birthing energy from the stars as the eagle soars over the mountains as the Lone Ranger, spreading seeds until linked in. Queen's Choice, as the Queen's Gambit came up there. The Page of Wands, which again I brought up this morning, is a very significant energy now, 26. It's 2:44 on the clock. As the plane taking off to Fantasy Island, Union, and the Sun. Sirius, the Cinderella star, reconnects with child. Again, that Page of Wands energy. In the Lambda Leap, the Lamb to Father leap. Of self-deliverance, of compassion, and 888, which is Lionsgate, came up. The new star set to link in and take off. Sirius and the Sun, two ships that pass in the night. As then I looked up the thing about Sirius and the Sun coming together, which isn't supposed to happen for 60,000 years. And one from Sky and Telescope, they rate it as Sirius coming at 5.5 kilometers per second and will reach the closest points in 60,000 years. Whereas somebody else was coming in commenting saying, I did the calculations and I'm getting more like, where did I write that down? More like 7.6 kilometers per second and 46,000 years. But of course, either one for us is very far away. And again, that brought up the precession of the equinoxes as well, every approximately 26,000 years, which peaked closest to us in 2017. And that has to do with being closest to the pole star, the celestial pole. Any motion of the spin axis around a cone. The celestial pole is now quite close to the pole star Polaris, and then referencing Vegas as well. All right. So on May 6th, I'd pulled from the past life that day, and phobias were coming up, which has been coming up a lot lately too, with the High Priestess, health, the ship, the father, authority figures, and phobias. While the warrior's away, she becomes the High Priestess of health, raising the Kundalini, as a brand new ship arrives, bringing father to son. Now, an authority figure with phobias. All right, so now this is an authority figure who's gone into fear. Transportation and love life had come up with planes, trains, and instead of automobiles, roses were coming up, and roses, like Moses, and Joseph. So Joseph was coming up, as in Mary and Joseph. And then the biblical carpenter, which of course is JC, their son. Asian angels coming up here. So there's that Asian reference again. So here we have the biblical area, right? And now we have the Asian angels. And then Kuan Yin, Mother Mary, and the Dalai Lama came up. The Dalai Lama came up with Amanaman, which came up last week. And so I ended up breaking all that down as well as Father, Mother, or M. Ally Lad. Divinely played in dark blues and violets. I was just getting hues, violet hues, and lilacs. The goodness of crying and grieving. The Book of the Dead and the pieces of stone and clay. I got a job well done, showing the power of man to father and mother. I am and Ma is in the Lord's name. So from Dalai Lama, Dalil came up, which was so funny because Dalil is D-A, Father, and L-I-L, which is Enlil, which came up in Elena's Zion talk, which I hadn't watched yet. And Dalil means, and she talked about how important it was to go to the word roots to find out where things are coming from, her and her co-host. And here we have Father Lil, and its meaning is root, argument, proof. And then Dali is effortless, to hasten, end, finger, very frequently, rope, easy, quick, guide, and sign. So Dalai Lama comes up, means ocean lama, basically, but also means root and proof of mother, father, to divide, split as swordsmen and swordswomen, the high vibe guidance in paralysis, or to lie down, ocean beach where they meet at mud and the fine sand, wet meadow of torch and light, ancient valley, field, yard, and playground, ocean or sea monk key, playing in, and there's the monkey coming up again, the ocean or sea monk key, playing in the mud, depression, valley, right? The place, the valley is the depression, the torchlight, the king and queen of swords, and the hermit to mediate between land and sea. And again, emphasizing the importance of where land meets sea, whether it's the beach or mud. And Elena's Palladian contact had said too, if you want to try to light up a light bulb with your hands, you do that by sitting in mud and meditating to try to light up a light bulb. I would suggest trying like a little Christmas bulb first. I wanted to do that, but I forgot about that too, so I'll have to try that. Then the word temple was coming up to be broken down with contemplation. And notice that temple is in contemplation. And it came up with the number 26, the Page of Wands again. The guardian of the soul family was 69, which is the 698 pod, 2 peas in a pod, with the Ace of Pentacles, pod, contemplation, the temple. So it was coming up, and again, there's that L energy of Enlil, the temp L. So contemplation was coming up as co-Christed temple at connection, a tie-on connection, which is the tiger lioness, or T-I-O-N is also source on. The tiger lioness totem connection. And temple is T of top dog, and then the emperor, E-M-P, with L and then E, and in E literally means temple. The source emperor, L temple. Source M, P-L-A-T-I-O-N, and then versus station. So I was getting Plation, as in PlayStation, Plation versus station, or vacation, and then staycation, I guess, is coming up here too. The Plation versus the station. And the source divine feminine, so E-M as opposed to A-M is referencing the feminine. The source divine feminine plays with source connection, to stay in source connection, right? One plays and one stays. And then vacation is to vacate source connection. At Lady Liberty and the etheric altar there, the 26 of the Page of Wands is the guide, the guardian of the family, that little light o' mine, the torch that never wavers, in the 698 pod. C-O and then N-T-E, which equals I, me, empilation. So there's this energy of compiling. So the compilation of N-T-E, which was in the middle of the word of contemplation, which means I and me. Comping the I and the LA, which is angel, and the T, which is source connection. As the 3 emperor is the burning hero, allowing him to bask in his own light, knowing he could get burned by his own light, and then the 21 of the world, but also the feminine and the masculine, as she is the moon, whole and complete, satisfied in his glow, reflecting back to him something much softer than what he actually is. All right, so think about this. The moon is always talked about as a reflection to the sun, But the sun doesn't have a mirror other than the moon. The only way the sun sees himself is the soft glow in the moon. He doesn't know his own strength. As the moon is the only mirror he has, he does not know his own strength in the ability to sustain life and take it away. She must let him lie in the bed that he made, which is so hard for her, wanting to save. So then we go into my message of the day read, the 4-deck read. And this is good. All right, so let's go into that one. All right, so here is my message of the day. It's 4 decks, and we have the underlying energy on the left, and then 3 cards pulled, and then the extra cards are organically wanting to come out, and I use them for numerology and to finish the message. So we have at the top the Journey of Love deck, and then we have the Nature's Whispers, the Energy deck, and then the Rider deck at the bottom. I'll bring it in a little closer so you can see better. Okay. So I started with the Journey of Love before I pulled the other decks, because I started getting messages already when I just pulled the Journey of Love, and that was at 4:40 on the 6th. The underlying energy was the 59 Temple. The first card out was the 26 Guardian again, the 69 Contemplation. Oh, I'm sorry, this is what I told you already. Okay. But this was part of this read that I just showed you. But I started the messages before I got to the other decks. So the piles at the end of each deck came out to 1, 1, 1, 1, but also 1, 4, 2, 3, 1, or 3, 3, 1. So it's coming up as 2 and 3 in the middle there, which is the King of Wands. 1, 1, 1, 1 in Gematria is Twin Flame. That's the lead entry. 14 to 31 was coming up here, as well as Patience with the King of Wands regarding conflicts in groups. 1 pair to 1 together. The Emperor and the Empress as 1. And I picked a card from the Ascension deck, which I haven't done yet, so I'm going to do that now. So I had just picked one random card in the middle of pulling the other decks here from this Ascension deck, and what came out was Mary Magdalene, who's number 35 here. She's of the 6th ray, and her energy is from Marseille. And so I'm going to pick out. Now, if I get, this is for guides, masters, and angels that may be most resonant with you now. If it comes out as a card that doesn't have a specific energy associated with it besides the message that it brings, we're assuming here that you're supposed to go source direct. Okay? So let's see who comes out of here. All right, for the Twin Flame community here watching today, we have Pallas Athena, number 48, which is the 8 of Cups, walking away and within. The affirmation is, I use the sword of truth to lead the way. And she's known as the goddess of truth and wisdom. She's the lord of karma for the 4th ray and holds the sword of truth to show humanity the way. Although she wields her truth for the highest ideals and divine truth, she prefers to use wisdom to settle disputes. So you're supposed to follow her example and use your higher perspective in all areas of conflict, which just came up. Draw on your abundance of wisdom and tact to communicate with everyone concerned and use the sword of truth to point the divine way forward. And we also have Lady Portia right next to her, which is a lot of the same energy, only it's coming up with 32, which is the 6 of Wands energy of bringing in good news. And she's the goddess of justice, which is truth and wisdom. So Pallas Athena is truth and wisdom, and she's justice, but justice is truth and wisdom. As the lord of karma, she tempers justice with mercy and balance. In order to act with these golden qualities, you must let go of your own projections and prejudices and see the whole picture. When you receive this card, Lady Portia is calling on you to review an aspect of your life or relationships to bring it fully into the 5th dimension. Be generous-hearted, open-minded, and fair, and step aside from judgment, and then your ascension path will be showered with gold. I am fair-minded, open-hearted, and non-judgmental. So there's more of a harsh energy coming through with Pallas Athena, right? Because she uses her sword if she needs to. Whereas Lady Portia is softening it here, reminding you to be non-judgmental and open-hearted, bringing good news, right? So Pallas Athena is taking you within, and Lady Portia is the one coming out and bringing the good news. And perfect, because Lady Portia is the partner of Saint Germain, and that's the bottom of the deck. It's the golden, silver, violet flame. And number 4, which is the Emperor, and also the L1 of the Lambda Leap, the Son to the Father. The archangels Zadkiel and Saint Germain are keepers of the violet flame of transmutation. When you add the gold of wisdom and the silver of grace and harmony, you create the powerful golden, silver, violet flame. The angels suggest you invoke this mighty energy to clear the ascension path ahead of you and keep your light pure and clear. When you send the golden, silver, violet flame to people, situations, and places, you facilitate wondrous transformations. This powerful light transmutes the old and raises everything to a very high frequency. I am the golden, silver, violet flame. All right, so very specific information there. Perfect, right? Because we have this Saint Germain of transmutation along with his counterpart, Lady Portia, along with the softer and the more harsh truth energy, but they're both goddesses of truth and wisdom. And I was just getting the energy of, right, the expressions of gods that would often come out in their daughters as different expressions of themselves. That same kind of energy was coming up right here. Oh, look, they wanted me to bring up the 3rd card because that's the Pleiadians, which are your relatives. And the affirmation is, I open my heart to love and healing from the Pleiades. And that's 16 of the Tower. And sudden events, sudden epiphanies. And they're talking about being healers. They love Earth and all who live on her. And by drawing this card, you're being invited to open your heart to Pleiadian healing. Let them enfold you in their loving, healing blue light so that their wisdom and gifts flow into you. When you've absorbed these qualities into your energy field, pass them on to others. Remember the animals who come from the Pleiades, the sheep, the pandas, and the pigs. Heal people and the land, bless them, and honor their work on our planet. Okay? And actually, I just posted a picture that I went back and looked at from the beach. And in the rocks were all these animals. I had posted some other ones last week, but this was specifically, there was a goat in the picture, there was a cat in the picture, I think there were multiple pigs. So, and it looked like a croc and even a shark in the picture in the background. Very interesting. And the Huna prayer wants to come out here too. So you can read that on your own if you'd like to. That's number 8, which is the Strength card. Your affirmation is your Huna prayer. All right, so we have that energy. And along with Mary Magdalene, who'd come out in the read here of the 6th ray of raising Dharma into spirituality. On the energy deck here as well, and then the Rider-Waite. Okay. So Mary Magdalene risks to love Atlas, carrying the weight, lighting the torch, and preparing the couples, the temple within. All right, so this is like her energy of Hercules coming to replace Atlas so he can get a break. Mary Magdalene risks to love Atlas, carrying the weight, lighting the torch, and preparing the couples, the temple within. As the underlying energy is the 59 temple, with the 50 of the potential gateway, 35 of the first chakra archangel Michael, and 5 of swords reversed, with the 59 again. And 59 is the 5 of swords. So it's an energy of ending the war within. After the war within, finding family fulfillment and surrendering to lay down your swords. The underlying energy of the 50 of the potential gateway, and the 1 prior to that of making a wish, 26 of being true to your heart, 43 of love matters, and 42 let love be your beacon, and 50 of the potential gateway was coming from the Nature's Whispers deck. The magic wish from your lion's heart to come together in joy, 1 to 1. 2 ships leaving as one is on the radar coming in, just as the last ship sails. Bird ships come in and open to other planes. Me and my bird friends and animals of the forest, let love be your beacon, 1 to 1. Blushing. And right here is then where I watched Elena at 5 o'clock. So, but I continued this message right after that. So here she's blushing over the 50 of the 10 of Cups potential gateway, and that's the ultimate happiness of the magical family. The first card out was the 12 of expansion, of wise union and hand fasting, merging two mountains or worlds, with the 27 and 30, the Ace of Wands and the Four of Wands, maintaining a childlike spirit and adventure like the little monkeys. African to Spain, bridging lands, as the 10 of Cups magic family, the Hanging Man, and Let's Make a Deal. The Queen's Gambit, after swinging in Costa Rica, which I actually was on a swing in Costa Rica, bridging Atlas to Spanish mountains through what they have in common. So just like the Appalachians are partly in Africa, because when the continents divided, the Appalachians got split. And I was getting the same energy here between Africa and the Spanish mountains, which I actually have this wonderful picture of the Spanish mountains when I was flying into Toulouse in 2017. Oh, and that's when we were closest regarding the procession. There's something that was important about that right there. But anyway, bringing Atlas and the Spanish mountains together through what they have in common. Atlas and the Moroccan trees and the Spanish algae were coming up. And again, the Moroccan trees have to do with the olive oil. They're really potent. It's really potent olive oil because it's something that grew in a place where it's not supposed to grow. So if olive trees grow in the desert, they become extra potent, just like the pine trees. The pine oil becomes very potent if it grows in a very cold place in northern Canada. But Spanish algae was coming through, and I was also getting algae with Venice, because the Venice waters are so dirty. Anything that can grow in that is super potent, and algae was coming up from there as well. The 40 of the Page of Cups, to show your support to the little ones, the flowers and the fairies, and the 13 of the renewal of peace, the fairy baby in the nook of the tree, and the transition as all come to see. When the leaves have fallen, or perhaps you're only seeing fallen leaves here because you didn't rake, the Page of Cups transition through August 31st, and I've gotten that deadline on something else as well, in a breakthrough dance of the fairies and the butterflies, a leap into the rough waters without a hesitation, to be spontaneous in reaching out across the blushing orange moon of flowers and fairies. The 35 of the Wounded Warrior and the Mary Magdalene, the WW and the MM, right? This is my Rolling Stone, right, is WME3. The same symbol, just in 4 different positions, east, west, north, south. The Master of the Sixth Ray of Mary Magdalene in raising dogma into spirituality, and Marseille, as I just talked about, France, which you would go into Toulouse to go to Marseille, I think. Marseille probably has its own airport. But anyway, and Buttercups here. I maintain my truth and see the spirituality in all things. As the underlying energy then came up with 35 again with Archangel Michael, after the 51 of the King of Swords and Healer of the Ages, the 10 of the Storm Warning, which the 10 is also the Wheel of Fortune, 39 is the Knight of Cups, came up with Archangel Gabriel in the 5th chakra, which is the throat, and then the 43 of the Man with a Coin. The Storm Warning as the King of Swords destined cyclone comes in. Perhaps Libra energy of the 39 Knight of Cups with their throat chakra activated as Thoth shocks Ra. Archangel Gabriel, Mercury, Thoth. The 43 of the 3 of Cups, man holding a coin, after speaking it into existence, with root shock Ra, Archangel Michael, and the Wounded Warrior, Mary Magdalene coming up here, as the first card here is the 50 and the 24 of the 10 of Cups, Angel of Strength, and the Queen of Wands with adjacent possibilities. Archangel Michael and the Angel of Strength. When one window falls out, another appears and is upgraded. With 35, 35, 50, and 24, these cards equals 144, as the 18 of Anxiety and 42 of Woman with a Coin. There's the New Moon Anxiety here of Mother partnering, romance bringing peace, and the 34 of Energetic Exchange and the Arrows of Love of the door to personal healing and happiness, and the 33 of the door to romance. So 2 doors here, the door to happiness and the door to romance, 33 and 34. And the energetic exchange of the Christ consciousness of standing up for self in unity consciousness and letting the outside come in, which is the key to the heart. Letting the outside in as opposed to the inside out. So then we get into the rider deck here. At 949, which is the Hermit and the 9 of Cups of self-satisfaction, and the underlying energy of the 5 of Swords reversed. After the 10 of Wands upright, the 2 of Wands reversed, the Lovers upright, the 2 of Swords, etc. With Atlas without a choice, and Lovers know without knowing, the Page of Cups loves them, and breaking patterns as the King of Pentacles is set free with loyal friend to leap away from the 10 of Pentacles, family, business, or community, leaving them to ground and integrate any depression or arrogance of the Emperor, inspired by the Magician, offering their DNA, while simultaneously offering a new life the other direction, or proposals to the High Priestess that makes them cry. The Magician to High Priestess with Hermit, mediating Virgo to Virgo or Gemini to Pisces here. There's a lot of mutable energy there. The Magician makes everyone happy here with all tools on board, except the wounded warrior who's upset that Hermit's helping the High Priestess or their sister, or a silent partner. Virgo and Pisces and the wounded warrior, stressed by the Knight of Swords rushing in with or as the Queen of Cups waking them. The wounded warrior blaming the Hermit for it, perhaps, as the Queen of Cups is getting the Divine Masculine or Dark Knight to come out of his cave, or Scorpio at a distance, in pain or sick, or Dark Knight or Scorpio confronting those who don't see their way in a painful ending where someone may have gotten burned or just drained, or this could be a sick child or someone who's feeling anxiety or overwhelmed, feeling pushed to the limit, and perhaps another dependent spending, or just powerless to the inequity, with Scorpio upright and Leo reversed, and they're both fixed signs, defending a purchase. I was just getting the Louisiana Purchase. I don't know what that's about. That's weird. Defending a purchase, or why they're unwilling to share. So you might want to look up Louisiana Purchase, see what comes up. Someone might have a bad reputation or bad credit, or fending off failure and dissatisfaction of the Knight of Pentacles in a split, and the Knight of Pentacles is reversed here, and they could be very stubborn, and working to get their ducks in a row, destined to a heated exchange or multiple delays, and not telling about some kind of injustice here, with Libra both upright and reversed here, with the Queen of Swords reversed, being strong and taming the beast, which can reference a pet as well. For the Knight of Cups reversed and Page of Pentacles reversed, which are likely children post-war, or perhaps children of a divorce, or those at the door and managing the dog, right? When people come to the door and trying to hold the dog back. And that could be kids coming to the door trying to sell you something or get you to sign something, you know. As the Knight of Cups reversed and the Page of Pentacles reversed, post-war or virus, or just inner struggle, with the King of Swords reversed with no peace, or rough travels, is finally home in union or in a great celebration or fair, whole, complete, done, coming full circle, the Divine Feminine, Pisces neighbor, after drama or sudden event of the Page of Swords reversed interrupting, but rising above that energy. And that could, the Page of Swords reversed is the most immature communication in the deck. So it could be someone not talking at all, or spouting off, spreading rumors, lying, spying, all that kind of energy comes up with the Page of Swords reversed. But it could just also be an air sign child, right, who's in a negative place. So awaken to the Queen of Pentacles, coming clean about being out in the cold with the Knight of Wands upright, reaping rewards if dreams come true, heaven in their eyes, synchronicities, and lots of choices here. As the Empress reversed with the Angel upright, makes an announcement. Perhaps she's being very patient or doing patient calls and waking everyone up, or a message from beyond. This could be an angel coming in with a message, Mother or Gabriel, or the final trumpet is being signaled here. Looking back at the family here, imprisoning, forcing them to walk away and then run, as the King of Wands reversed with the Page of Wands upright is ready for a new moon, up early to travel with Cancer both upright and reversed, or driving all night, as the Hierophants reversed, perhaps a divorced or outside the box spiritually, had a falling out at work, or father and child part over a wedding or a new job or project, a co-creation, or spiritual marriage without the kids present, or maybe the kids didn't bring a gift. The Queen of Wands reversed with the King of Cups upright may be ending a conflict, awakening to detox, breaking chains, to forgive and or apologize, with healing hearts to come together in joy. The Page of Wands hanging out with family and the King of Swords reversed, with the Ace of Pentacles, Ace of Wands both upright, and the Queen of Wands reversed with the Six of Swords reversed. And that's interesting too, because on this read, which I just did last night for you guys, we have the Ace of Cups, Ace of Wands together upright, and then the Ace of Swords reversed over there with the Empress reversed. A new life, new passion, as the Queen of Wands reversed is without peace. The Empress is home but upset without partner, or perhaps a new home here. She is the moon, renewal and breakthrough, spontaneous opening of doors to healing and romance are complete now. Yeah, and that night, and the music of the spheres was coming up that night too, along with Mary Magdalene and Lord Sirius. And again, Sirius comes up as Sir Eos, which Eos means Jesus. Okay. So on the 7th here, when I went to my past life deck, the underlying energy was the monk or nun, and the first card out was Native American. Now, in the underlying energy, the monk or nun was after phobias coming up regarding Greco-Roman times and forgiveness, the orphan, the farm, and then I was getting farmed creatively speaking, like be farming people, the art of imprisonment and slavery, and choosing to be a monk or a nun, keeping to oneself, mastering that wound by flipping it to something positive and going on a journey within. The underlying energy of food and hunger after traveling, being on the road with angels watching over you, of unrequited love and the knighthood. She left alone, and he to protect and defend, but everybody. And the trees with the sun shining through, filtering through the family tree to bridge across and be transported. The train being transported to another plane, which then references airplanes. The train tracks associated here with starvation and the pyramids, which pyramids is pyra, it's fire, and then mids, which can be co-creative egos. And then Teddy came over to me right at that point. I was talking to him about mommy coming home because she had been away for a few days. And then the train was really loud, and I was going choo-choo, which is also my son's nickname. So that was coming up. So all this planes, trains, and automobile stuff was coming up the past few days. MID also stands for Militarized International Dispute, which is a war. Fire dispute is war. And then it also comes up as mobile information device. And then the division between air and water were coming up, because air is swords, which was now bringing back that energy I was getting before of the curved points and the straight points, like the ibis beak versus the energy of The Simpsons. So the air is, of course, the air, and water is water, so very different elements, the sky and the sea. And the air is coming up as the swords, straight and to the point, the S words. And the water was coming up as cups of love. And then I was getting to Sir with love and the curved energy, but it was also paralleling Avatar 1 and 2. And notice the curved ones are curved but without a joint, right? So the air was coming up as sword straight into the point, The water was coming up as cups of love, curved and without a joint. Avatar 1 and 2 were air and water. But Avatar also means grandmother's throne. And Avatar is a Vadar. So Darth Vader was coming up here. And water worlds. And Darth me is dad and Earth, RTH. So Father Earth, so again, was coming up as the dark person. And then this is paralleling Enlil and Elena's talk. So pyramids was then coming up to break down as well, which DS at the end of pyramids means flint, knife, or jar. And it was coming up as the pi, which is the circle with the line down the middle of sharing, right? The circle can be the 0 point energy, but also the reference of the human embodiment of source, but sharing the masculine and feminine and being balanced. And that symbol with the ray, root, ground, mu, mu, me, my, and mi, or me, and the flint, knife, jar, or to handle something. And the word hand kept coming up over and over again as well. And handle is hand and L, referencing Enlil. So the P is also a symbol of row, which you can think of as the R reaching out, the P of the housing reaching out. But the Y is also the division in the row, but also the 0 point. And then Ram and Ids, which is egos. So we have PY for pyramids, but Y is also, if it's 0 point, it's also the O of the human embodiment of source. So the PY of pyramids also is coming up as PO, and then we have Ram, and then egos. It was coming up as Purim, of all things, egos. But also PO of post office are am, egos. So PORAM means to bring, take, put, cause, come, go, move, incite. I like that one, incite a riot type of energy. And the PO is the peacock, which came up earlier, remember, as the eagle landing to rise as the phoenix, as the peacock. But PO also means to be too small, right? So you need the phoenix to make that peacock more profound so people will pay attention. But PO also means police and to bully and to get your message across. And then at that time, dew, water, hour to post, and Monday, the first day. The chamber pot and the letter P and the lowercase p, dust, powder, and the word hand, 5, jump, tree, stick, skin, kids' toilet, away, away from, under, beneath, beside, near, along, movement, to the, I can't read what I wrote there, but you can look up the word PO. It's in, all of my definitions are from Wiktionary. After a time, one after another, until around, throughout the whole, shelf, to burn, roast, when like, to mix, stir, night, half, by, per, each, a piece, moon, trail, road, entire, whole, and spleen came up there. To whisk, to knead, to make. So then I went into Darth and Darth Vader. And the word Darth, D-A-R-T-H, is Welsh, which means Tarth, T-A-R-T-H, which is the infinite throne. And Darth also means vapor, which I just told you means Eden. It also means dryness and thirst, steam, haze, mist, and fog, and Eden. And then, so of course, the Empire Strikes Back comes up here, and Emperor strikes back with Darth, which they said online meant dark and death, and Vader means father. But actually, Darth Vader was dark and death in Vader. That was the premise of Darth Vader. But something else that Darth means is British Rail Class 460 train. And 46 is the 6 of Cups, but it was also it's my daughter's soul number, and she was in England at the time I wrote this. British Rail Class 460 train. And train is also God's reign. And Avatar is the grandmother's throne. And Vader was coming at so va, go, der. So the pyramids of the fiery E knife, and E is temple, and knife is flint, and so Clint Eastwood came up there. And the mids are middle grade pot, the middle vowels, mediocre, but also the MI of the word is the E note, mu, M-U, M-E-I, my, we, louse, root, nerve bundle, and tendon and vein, the number 4, ego, ground, land, dirt, and noodle and flower all come up under MI. And we just had mu, me come up on the prior page, all of those. So again, coming up again. And of course, mu references Lemuria. So the train tracks are associated here with the cars, with starvation and pyramids, and the sun filtering. I'm just getting the Sultan. So there's that, that Darth Vader energy coming up again. The train tracks associated a soda. What was the soda that just came up in Gematria? Was it Coca-Cola, I think, came up? So something about that's coming up too. The sun filtering through the tree, the family tree to bridge across, the train being transported to another plane. Choo-choo! As the Avatar propellers start up. So you notice the Avatar planes are like helicopters, they're hover planes. And they have blades spinning in opposite directions, just like the push and pull of the twin flame energy. So pyramids comes up as pi, ra, mi, ds, as well as rho, y, ram, and ids. Firing up international war, the pi of sharing of balanced human energies, embodying source, at the root ray of mu, me, my, me, the flint knife jar, and the pyra, which means rave, which is so weird because someone started talking about rave. I think my daughter was talking about raves in England. So rave, frenzy, delirium, to be, exist, become, to rain, moisten, dull, snow whirl, snowstorm, or something that's not sharp enough. Dizzy, desire, longing, lively, jolly, and skittish at the same time. And then YR is in Pyra as well, which is the river, canal, fresh, myriad, swarm, drizzle, yor, and year. And then the P, row, to give and put one's hand to the plow. E, me, mu, and the root with the flint and the knife, housing 0 point, ra or ray, root, and then the D is the divine axis spin of the sphere. The home of the rave, the frenzy, delirium, the longing and desire, to rain or snowstorm, moist but dull, not sharp enough, jolly and yet skittish, to be and become, ids or ids, ego, and ami, which is water, to love, friend, I, me, second harvest and rain, aunt and uncle, but aunt is spelled A-N-T, boyfriend, net, blood, person, we, army, louse, needle, sign, mark, and symbol. Amen, amin, amin, spy, and breast. All came up with AMI. So deer and sheep, to row, are and am, as in we are and I am, but also the letters R and M. At the Y 0 point, with the id of Sophia, which isn't as severe as the masculine id. At the turn of the sine wave, the switch of the track, where RM equals room and remove, and returned missionary, JC in the second harvest. The fish was coming up as the Egyptian, which is also Serapis Bay, and they're all just divisions from the original soul, coming from Osiris would go to Serapis, and then third was supposed to be Serapis Bay, and they were considered the serpents as opposed to the snake, because that was just a more honored title, basically. So the fish was coming up as the Egyptian here to cry and weep, Serapis Bay, and Lord Sirius, because Lord Sirius is Sir Eos, or Jesus, like I brought up before, and for him to weep. The second harvest, and again, the second harvest of JC is the second coming of Christ. To row are ho and RM. At the shift of the track, ids, or egos, the I divine axis spin, or irritable divine syndrome. Instead of irritable bowel syndrome, it was coming up as irritable divine syndrome, and divine is the two-vine syndrome in dueling kundalini triggers. The doctor owes me, and that was coming up as Om as well. The doctor's Om. So pyramids is putting hands to root, to cut or burn. Fire am ID, or fiery I am ego. The first morning light, I cut upon the spinning sphere that we all live on, the fiery co-creative ids, aka kids, as it all brings you all back to the Page of Wands again, and the monkeys. The PYR AMI Ds is housing fresh water, the canal, the river, to love and befriend, needles and knives, to agree, to sign and mark, or in other words, a contract, you see. As swords and cups, where cups are coming up as shields here, right, your sword and shield, wands and pentacles as plants and the earth. So now here's a division between organic and artificial. The intellect of words and the emotions of feelings, the love light of wisdom, and using plants to manifest density or things in the 3D, 4D, and 5D, and the love light of wisdom of creativity to live on a sphere, of knights and maidens, of DNA and bodies, magic wands that grow in the dirt on earth. Dirt, divine spin earth. To root, split root, as the stem becomes two branches. From trees to then train tracks, where the pyramid is PO RAM ID, or in other words, to incite the ego. And then Darth Vader was coming up as Darth Avatar, Darth A Vatar, and Father Earth is a father, Dark Death Invader, Darth equals vapor, which equals Eden, which equals the British Rail 460 train, which equals British Ray L, and the Six of Cups, who are supported by God's reign. So now the mountain was now being associated with Britain, where the mountain, I told you, is the mound is the people's remembrance, and Tain is looking back as far as you can go, and then the Britain. All right, so Tain is tin plate, and again, there's that reflection quality because they didn't used to have mirrors, foil and tin plates, of reflection or silvering, the furthest back of the flock, the fortune, the crowd, and the mushroom, the room where you can be mushy, which is mud, the mud room. And then number 10 came up here. But most important here of TAIN, the definition is a story about a cattle raid. And Elena and her co-host had referenced Mount Zion as Enlil's control over the cattle. And they were showing how that was all pieced together, so you'll have to watch their video. So the mountain, and then Britain, and the British Empire, Brittany and Brighton, or Britain, where BRI comes together here with BRIT as well, and then the Tain and Ain. And Brit is to break, divide, destroy, slaughter, and fracture, cut off. I make crumbly, soft, shatter, fade away, and alter. Young herrings, sprats, and crustaceans that right whales eat. Fight, struggle, scold, scream, yell. British, Brit Milah, which means cutting. The covenant of circumcision. And modernization of the Jewish ceremony was coming up here. Brit Milah is the covenant of the circumcision, and covenant is a vow, right? It's a contract. Destroying of the Milah, Mi El Ah. the bris, B-R-I-S, which can be a way of terming Brits. And again, it goes into the ceremony of the circumcision, which the rabbi, the last part of the circumcision, he used to suck the blood from the penis, which is so like abusive, because now the first sensation that baby has is that is what they think is what they're supposed to feel. So now that they're longing for that, it was really, interesting the way that came up. All right, so Britain is to destroy in order to own. Mount is also crocodile. Mount Ain, the A-I-N, is to mount, to own, or ownership of women. And so then Britain is also then the destruction of women. The people's remembrance of furthest backed flock, the tin plate mirror, and story about a cattle raid. Very interesting. Okay. So then yesterday, I meant to post this yesterday, but my space conked out on me. So this is the messages from yesterday. Yep. And then we're good. And we have this read here included in that. So as soon as I sat down, when I went to do these messages yesterday, I looked at my decks sitting next to me, and the bottom cards were the Sun and the Fool, which was funny because my son had just arrived. Okay. And the Fool, it was the Hanging Man card, but also the Fool from the Fortunes deck. The past life cards that came up were the underlying energies of wars and battles. And again, the first card that came out was Asia, which is like a Tibetan woman, but in a very serious way. It wasn't like Tibetan like you would feel truly spiritual. This had Chinese control over it. The Asian card with lessons and blessings, imprisonment and slavery, and then persecution and inquisition. So very difficult energies coming up here, but with wisdom in the end, with the unicorn. The Asian time was coming up as a Zion time, where time stood still, when the earth stood still. Tibet and China and serious servitude female covers her universal access, her left shoulders, and her heart, right? Cutting off the feminine energy in China, right? Not being able to have female children. But this yellow wrap, which is of masculine energy of the solar plexus, is covering up her left shoulder, which is universal axis, and then the heart, and then the liver and kidney on the right, which is the masculine side, with this solar energy, imprisoned by time, jail sentence, and energy lines through this portal energy, right? So an arced doorway, but with multiple doorways, right? So you look like you're going through time, through this arced doorway, in a time warp. And then Rocky Horror Picture Show is coming up. But the time warp trip, the high priestess strung up and looking to her left to her white unicorn, which I posted on my Instagram last night, the way the cards came up, because this was so amazing. Let me just move my tuning forks over here. All right. So these are the cards that came up yesterday. The underlying energy is the wars and battles. Okay, and finances was just below that. And these 5 cards, I have to position them for you. And this is on my Instagram too. I wanted to show you guys. The way these cards came out, look how the unicorn's horn is going into her holster. All right, she's got like a knot holster, which is also, look at the white ash right here, which is referencing the 5th wound of Jesus, getting stabbed right here. Okay, the horn going through into her holster as she looks adoringly to her unicorn over here. And this literally goes to this piece of bar in the jail cell, which then led into the second hand on this upside down stopwatch or pocket watch, okay? Which then led into this harsh energy over here of the watchers, okay? And this cold feminine energy. I just wanted to show you that because it's really cool. You have to watch the way the cards come together because they have some really cool messages sometimes. All right, and you can read my Instagram message, or do I actually have that? Or did this up? I had a picture of my Instagram message if you don't have Instagram, but this conked out. So if it charges up in time before the end of the video, I will pull up that message so you can read it on your own if you'd like. So this is the energy that we're talking about here. So his bow and arrow into her knots and bows, as we just showed that knot as a holster, and the holy lance of longingness is what I want to say, to make sure that he was and she was dead. The fifth holy wound, and then the time on that pocket watch, depending on whether you're looking at it upside down or right side up, can either come up, and this was at 12:12 to 12:13, which is the transition of wisdom. We have 8:20 and then 50 seconds, but it was or 8:20 to 21, or 7:25, or if it was the other way around, up right side up, would have been 1:51 and 19 seconds. And Asia is as IA, which is also Ia or Enki, less the I am bland per wisdom. And again, this is energy of if you're wise, then you're boring, right? The lesson of I am prison meant, which is intention. I am in prison, in imprisonment, intention. The lesson is to listen up. The blessin or slavery was coming up as the purse Q tion, and the in Q U is I tion. The P arse, purse is P, arse is ass, and their conception of the tion, which is the tiger-lioness connection, or the of the tiger, right? You're great. And then the lion, right, of Lion's Gate, and the totem connection there. But tion is also source on. In order for source to be fully on, the tiger-lioness connection must come together. And in conception, you is the I tion, where source is on. Her sword is the unicorn's horn, kept in her fifth wound. Remember the of the tiger and the lioness that lies on Sophia. The tiger lies on Sophia. Through and through the abdomen, up through the right side and hip. The back right hip is the holster, the ropes she tied up with. As the unicorn's twisted horn slides right in there, her purse, the bars and her jail cell, the second hand of the upside-down pocket watch, somewhere in time, trumps us in Asia or Asia Minor, mining for minerals, or in other words, sourcing minerals. His wound, her wound, she keeps with her always, reminding her to rise above the mine-ers, or in other words, mine, not yours, to rise above the ego. And Spirit's connecting with me. I'm getting tingly. I have like soft tingles everywhere. Not like it's not really strong in one place. It's like a gentle from the top down. The strength of the world to withstand judgment, to be the Ten of Cups family of emotional fulfillment, the chariots of fire of the Knight of Wands, and the Magician King of Swords' son at 151:19. His horn fits magically into her right pocket, or ovary, over the temple of bars, and second-hand Sally came up, which is an English term of Aunt Sally, who was a black-faced doll popular in 19th century London and represented the shop or second-hand store for second-hand clothes, and was referred to as like Uncle Tom, but the feminine version. It's really interesting. And Aunt Sally came up from Green's DICT of dictionary of slang.com. And in 1979, Bold Body Beautiful 25 or XXV, that egregious Aunt Sally of the establishment, Miss Mary Whitehouse, was a comment there from 1979, which is the year I graduated high school. And then from a British comment came up, 2000 Guardian REV 25, February 3rd, Walkins insists that the BBC, quote unquote, must not be made an Aunt Sally. She, the clothes on her clothesline, so her hanging there could literally be just her hanging her clothes up, bought and sold over and over again, rising above being gutted, a knife to the right, cutting out the masculine, the SI joint, and they, and Sikh came up with SIJ as well. The Islamic world of, I was getting a reference to the Amazigans and Berbers of North Africa to the Sikh, but the Sikh is a more modern idea. And that's where they were taking me to the splitting of the initial human, right, from the Asian cultures to the African cultures, okay, and how they all filtered into Europe and that sort of thing. But again, the Amazigan name means free men as opposed to the Berbers, which they associate with them being called barbarians. And their native language is Tamazite, Tamazight. Let's see if I have that now. Yeah, hold on. I just want to show you this Instagram before I forget it, because I just got access to it. All right. So here is my my Instagram post if you want to read that. Hopefully you can. I don't know how clear it's coming in for you. I'm afraid to tap my screen because it might turn it off. All right. So anyway, if you have a question about it, just let me know. And that came up on my Instagram with the strength card, I believe. So again, there's this filtering down, just like the tree, right? From the trunk of the tree of the Berber into the branches and then into the leaves, going into Europe and into America and so on. But the Arabs quickly converted them. And this is coming up from the Britannia and the Wikipedia sources. They got involved in caravan trade and an Afro-Asiatic language. So here again is bringing Africa and Asia together, descended from the Stone Age tribes. So that started happening around 2,000 years ago with Arab conquests in the 7th and 8th centuries, or the Arabization and conversion to Islam. The Sikh helped protect the Hindus from the Islamic persecution. And there was a list of ethnic religions on Wikipedia that I was guided to, and I could look more into that stuff, but it was bringing up all of the religions of like the Berbers and the other tribes of that time. And the Libyans actually taught the Greeks on how to yoke the 4 horses into a chariot. And they were also talking about, prior to 570 before Christ, that Amun and Amunet were later related to Zeus and Hera as being the same. And that Poseidon is actually a name from Libya, not from Greek. And that the Atlas Mountains were worshipped by the Berbers, and the Canary Islands represented daughters of Atlas. So it's just some interesting information. And then the difference between Hindu and Sikh stuff was coming up as well, where The Sikhs actually saw Jesus, they only believe in one God, right? So, but they listed Muhammad and Jesus, though, as saints. They were included. They weren't discarded completely. Whereas in Hindu, it's not applicable. And Hindu's multiple gods, but it's much older, from 3000 before Christ, whereas Sikhs come up from 1469 after death. And where Hindu is God is everything, and everything is God, and there's no angels in Hinduism as well. So now we have the read on the table here, which I did take a shot of that for you. And this was what I pulled for you last night, with the Lovers upright, the Two of Cups upright, the Four of Wands upright. Okay, they never come in together because those are all union energies. And the Page of Wands came up at the end. He is reversed, but we'll get into that. And we have the Tower. It was reversed up there too. But I just wanted to point that out because that never happens. So here is your read here on the table. Yeah, I want to show you these birds again too because they're just so cool. That energy. Okay, so the read on the table. And this was done last night at 7:12. I cut the Syrian Starseed deck, and then we just have the Rider-Waite mini deck there. And again, the twin flame physical unions. And as a reminder, the wish that I blew for you guys yesterday to make a wish is still on the table when I dealt this deck, because I left them all around. I finished the read at 7:26, which there's that 26 again of the Page of Wands, and the 7 is the Chariot. Excuse me. And the major arcana here is Karma, Lovers, and the Tower. Karma is like the Judgment card. Prior to the read, the Starseed or the Fool came up with Ascension, which is the world. And after the read, the Solar Deity came up, which is the Sun. And I always do 6 out here, but these were extra cards. So we also have the Chariot and the Star over here. There were 6 wands. It's very rare that more than 4 or 5 of any element comes up or suit. And we have 6 flames in this read. And 1 pentacle, 1 cup. 611, right? Urgent lovers. We have the King of Pentacles, the 9 of Wands, which is the Wounded Warrior, the Queen of Wands and Page of Wands. So a lot of Wands energies here. Prior to the read is the Knight of Wands. And after the read is the King of Swords and the Knight of Pentacles. And then the King of Wands is beyond over here. We had triple 2s and triple 6s. There's the 26 again and it's the year 26 too, because we're in 24, which is an 8 year, 25 is a 9 year, and 26 is the Ace of Wands year. Okay, so it's significant. But it's not actually, okay? It is. Yeah. So 2026 is the 1 year, because 26 is the 8, but the 2 makes it 1. And so that's the start of the new 9-year cycle in numerology. Okay, so 26 is very significant because it's the start of the new cycle. So we have triple 2s and triple 6s here. 222 is like room 222, the guidance counselor show. But it's also the 2 of the feminine, the high priestess, the 22 of the fool with an open heart, taking a leap of faith, and the triple 2s of 6, which is love, that very feminine energy, that divine feminine energy. And then triple 6s here, which of course you always see in a negative way, but it's the 6 of the lovers, the 66 is the Queen of Pentacles, and 3 6s is 18, which is Kai of 8 and 10, and it's also the moon, which is Thoth, right? So there's all these interesting energies that come together, the 2 and the 6. And we also have 23, which is the King of Wands, 34 of the 8 of Wands, 45, the 5 of Cups, 56, the 2 of Swords, 67, the Knight of Pentacles, 78, the Ten of Pentacles, and then 89, which for me is Phi, or the energy of expanding, contracting, or reflecting in the middle, which is the reflection of 98, which is the human temperature. And then the code line was all about the number 34, coming from 29 and 5. 29 is the Three of Wands. 5 is the Hierophant, but also change, freedom, and expansion. And 3 and 4 is also the Empress and the Emperor. And also it's the horizontal and the vertical, right? The eagle soaring across, and the 4 is the lamb to leap, the lamb to the Father. So the code line was very short in this read. It was A and then T, and then Fu 2 9 TH 5 of flames, which was coming up as the quest. At the stone-breaking plant or ball buster, a narrow passage, a new 29th 5 of wands, which also can be the quest, but also the team and the group and the Olympics coming up. And at the passage, the two hermits, infinite chaos, conflict or competition or quest. After death to the nth degree, the fool to the hermit, infinitely in pursuit of happiness. The AT is also AT, which is time or temperature, top dog, T, dead end, Tesla, Trump. Sated, drunk, new to be, stone-breaking plant, infinitely, gifts the community, challenges, infinite quest, or in other words, the impossible dream. Infinite after deaths, two fools with 9 lives on a quest. Really cool message there. So then, but AT also came up as ADTHS, which a death was coming up, but I was getting the Hebrew words, but also the word ADTHRAM with the ram coming up, and LI, which means fatherly or paternal. And then the 49th came up. So I still don't know. I don't know if they're referencing the 49th president, which would be 32, which could be. But 49 is also the 9 of cups of finding self-fulfillment, emotional happiness with self. But that could be coming up. There may be something very significant about 32 and that president. And that's assuming different presidencies, right? Because if it's the same president, it wouldn't be the 49th and 32. So we'll see. So after, again, a death, AD to the nth degree, infinite after death, right? Continually rising, dying and rising again and again. And then also the company with ADTH came up, which is Adherent Holding Company, Inc., which its price when I looked it up was $3.4300, really funny. And then they've been bought by another company, which is taking it private, which was interesting. I don't know how that works. But if you're interested, you could look that up. It's Cadent bought them. So it's supposed to be finalized by the 3rd quarter of this year. So I don't know why that's significant. But then the number 4 to 9 also came up. So I looked it up in Gematria. And the first entry was anal initiation. And I wasn't getting that in a sexual way. It was also numbered with 888 of Lionsgate and 148, which I brought up as twin destinies added up, like the two twins' destinies coming together. And the next entry was It's Happening. And then a calculated name, I don't know what that word is, but you can look at 429 in Gematria. And then Morrison and then Christos with a K came up. And then when I looked down, I was looking down at all the other entries here that were also 888 and 148 of Lionsgate and the unions, along with this 4 to 9, which is April to September. And the 11th entry was Angel Marries God. That was also 888 and 148, along with the 429. The next one that had identical numbers was the 18th entry, Sign and Miracles. The next one was the 20th entry, which was Alpha God Particle. And the 36th entry with that same numbers was Mind Off, Heart On. Like, so profound. And anal, besides anus and anal, also means Annal, like a record, or annual, and it also means breath and scales of a reptile. Of course, compulsively neat or obsessed with pooping. But, that is a very important function. Your anus allows the crap to get put out of your body. But anal initiation was coming up literally from this as first breath. 821. All right, so August 21st is coming up, very significant right there, is first breath. April 1st, 24 came up there as when it was acquired by Cadent for $324 million. April 1st, 24, and to be finalized the third quarter of the race, privately, and becomes then a privately held company as opposed to publicly exposed. Really interesting information here. All right, so then we go into the read at 821 with karma reversed in the underlying energy there, and the Knight of Wands reversed, the Three of Wands upright, Starseed reversed, Ascension reversed, and the Six of Wands reversed underneath that card. With the Knight of Wands reversed, present or a gift to fall into another world. Failure in holding back an announcement, or under the radar with poor judgment here. The Knight of Wands reversed and the Six of Wands reversed, which are very similar cards, right? They're both reversed knights, basically, right? The Six of Wands is the one bringing in the good news at the end of the war. So we have two of these, both reversed, two players, foolish and or embarrassed, one in failure and incomplete, or players halfway around the world, showing up just to fail, which can reference the mindset of some Olympians, right? Knowing that they're not going to win, so why am I going halfway around the world just to fail and be embarrassed in front of the world? Or falling short in the game at present, embarrassed in front of the world if fails due to a bad decision or call. Well, it just takes one call, right, to make a bad decision or fail. The Nine of Wands, wounded warrior, which was also coming up Aries, Pisces energy, refusing to address or look at, travel to or with the Queen of Swords reversed, who could be an Aquarius, Cancer energy, or the wounded warrior breaking up with the Queen of Swords reversed, or refusing to give them or buy them a car or fix their car or a trip, refusing to give it to them. Walking away or taking a walk at night. The Page of Cups reversed may be very vulnerable to the Knight of Swords upright and their delivery to the High Priestess or sister or the Secret Keeper. Or walking away, but not before having the last word. Perhaps the Queen of Swords reversed is refusing to give Saggy or Aries a ride, and the High Priestess, Pisces or Virgo, could be Aquarius giving a what for on behalf of Pisces or Cancer, Page of Cups reversed, like protecting them. In the recent past here, we have the Nine of Wands upright, self-satisfied Dark Knight or Scorpio trying to apologize, but Cancer reverse may not be having it or is just disappointed or sad, or air sign or Virgo coming at Scorpio, Sagittarius for hurting the Page of Cups' feelings. The foundation here is the King of Pentacles reversed out in the cold, with the Knight of Cups reversed letting go, and the the Queen of Pentacles reversed, who the Knight of Cups is with right here, or laying all their cards on the table, as the King of Pentacles reversed may be rejecting the Queen of Pentacles reversed, so she'll let go, under the radar or with a bad reputation, or Aries, Pisces, and I was just getting anus again, that's really funny, Aries, Pisces exposing all and causing issues at work, or could be siblings here too, whether Page of Cups reversed and Knight of Cups reversed, or King of Pentacles reversed with Queen of Pentacles reversed, Pisces reversed with Leo upright, or Scorpio and Pisces kids, or the Divine Masculine in the doghouse with the Queen of Pentacles reversed, perhaps secrets that were kept under the radar about another world, 5D, exposed at work, or while they weren't at work, something came out, with Aquarius reversed and Leo upright, Gemini upright and Sag reversed, and these are all twin axis here, right? Aquarius goes with Leo, Gemini goes with Sag, and then Virgo upright with Pisces reversed. And then there's Scorpio, or the Dark Knight, or the end. as the central energy of the lovers here, or Gemini, perhaps a sneaky King of Swords, Gemini, perhaps they fell short on account at work, or a wounded warrior, Nine of Wands reverse did, and destined to make magic in a divorce or break in a contract with the King of Wands upright. Perhaps Sagittarius and Leo, or Aries not getting along, as the Knight of Wands reversed is with the King of Swords, Gemini or Libra here. Perhaps two Geminis, or Libra and Virgo, both upright here, with Saggy and Taurus reversed, or the Knight of Wands reversed and the Hierophant reversed, both down for the count. As the Magician, I was just getting the count like in Sesame Street, which goes to, the count. There's an episode I always remember of the count goes to Rapunzel in the E Tower saying, "I'm going to count to 10. Let down your hair." So I don't know why I always remembered that episode, but that's coming up again. The Magician makes a call, down for the count, as the Magician makes the call with all the right stuff. And then that movie's coming up. The challenge being here is the Five of Wands, conflict or competition, or again the quest, the losing battle of the Empress reversed and the Ace of Swords reversed, in a split, or the Empress refusing to back down. Or perhaps she's just not well and she needs clarity, or she needs the whole truth. Now crowning here is the Tower reversed, moving to peace after coming together with the Queen of Cups reversed and her drama, and or Scorpio in their chart. The Emperor upright, who's making cuts or breaking patterns, with the Ten of Pentacles reversed, family, business, or community of dysfunction or loss, but they have lots of options or dreams of the Queen of Wands upright, and of the Ten of Cups reversed, dissatisfied family due to the inequity of the King of Pentacles and the Page of Pentacles, both reversed, detoxing post-war, post-virus, or after their inner struggles. And soon here is the Eight of Wands reversed, in a heated exchange after patient angel offered love and passion to the Empress reversed, but she turned it down over and over again, as the angel, after a sudden event or drama, is resisting the Two of Cups soulmate, implementing a plan in order to start over. Perhaps the King of Wands is upright with the Empress reversed, which that they could be partners, or that can be his mother as well. And the twin flames seeing themselves as the Four of Wands, as that union energy, or the home. That could be a big celebration going on too, because that was coming up on the 5th too. Working hard for a dependent or powerless to withholding of the energetic exchange or hours of love of the King of Cups, who's upright, who may be embarrassed by a presentation of a gift or a surprise, someone who doesn't like surprises, or an awakening, or the Nine of Pentacles reversed to the Knight of Pentacles upright, Aries reversed with Pisces or Capricorn reversed here, perhaps the King of Pentacles reversed with the King of Cups upright, and or the King of Wands upright may be taking care of them both. You know, it could be like a father and a child. And around the twins, or how they're seen here, is that Two of Cups here. Dreaming of home union, a dream come true, lovers holding back an announcement from the Page of Wands reversed, or until 2026. Or Gemini and Aquarius, or the Page of Wands reversed, unable to make their own decisions, right? It could be a child that needs to be taken care of. Or perhaps somebody choked when trying to approach their dream girl, with the Four of Wands and the Two of Cups. Blocked by the Queen of Wands upright, having to help Leo, a pet or friend, or again, this Page of Wands reversed that comes up in the end there. There could be a sister involved, or someone who's just being silent and not talking. The Page of Wands reversed with justice of a choice, or Libra twin flame, a choice of path, or in court here, and that could be a judge. The Page of Wands reversed with the King of Swords upright, clearly without peace of mind, and the Hermit shedding light regarding a quest to be free of bliss, and laying to rest the past bad memories of anxiety and imprisonment. With the Six of Cups reversed and the Two of Wands upright, the twin flames fully exposed in the sun of the falling out in the past, or the bad memories, with the Knight of Pentacles upright proposing to break patterns, break down with peace, The Page of Wands upright, rock star with dreams come true. The King of Swords with the Page of Wands reversed. This could also be like a brother or someone taking care, because the King of Wands and the Page of Wands aren't getting along here. It also could be a lawyer, if a child needs a lawyer here. The King of Swords with the Page of Wands reversed and the King of Wands upright making peace, or the King of Wands offered a choice and the King of Swords saw the King of Swords in response offers a proposal to make their dreams come true. And these could be two men, or they could be both masters of those elements, right? Master of their thoughts and words, and then master of their passions. The Knight of Wands reversed with the Six of Wands reversed, present to foolishness and other worlds. Bad decisions of the King of Pentacles reversed, home 1-1 with wounded warrior lover, challenged by group conflict and the quest, and that can be any kind of competition or group stuff, the Olympics even, in a heated exchange with the Queen of Wands drama queen, with the Page of Wands reversed, or the King of Swords who's all over the place, or with bad memories and PTSD, with twin flame sunshine, and the Knight of Pentacles offering to help with breaking down, breaking through, and finding peace with the King of Wands healer on the stairway to heaven. Under the radar, karmic Nine of Wands wounded warrior failure with a bad reputation, and the King of Pentacles reversed, lovers or affection between them, with the wounded warrior challenged by the quest, the competition, after a sudden event or resisting sudden changes or epiphanies, with delays, union of heated exchange of the Two of Cups soulmates, the Queen of Wands and King of Swords turning her down, or the King of Swords' little brother, King of Wands, with bad memories of their falling out, with a choice to expose or energize, with an offer to help break the silence, the sound of silence. With Aries reversed, Pisces reversed, Aquarius reversed, Scorpio reversed, Gemini upright in the middle here, and then Leo upright at the end here with Cancer reversed and Aquarius upright. All right, that's it, you guys. Where are we? We're at 2.5 hours. Wow, 2:31. It's 4:10 on the clock, which is the reversed of 10:4, message received. So perhaps some of you didn't receive the message, which is okay. Let it sit and resonate. 4:10 is also the Emperor and the Wheel of Fortune, which is also Aries and Libra, which is the North Node and the South Node right now. And maybe there's something about April 10th that was significant that you need to go back and look at. And this is also the destined Lambda leap. All right, I'm just going to go to a quick message from the Messages of Love, since it's been very long. It's an easy message to bring. So what is our takeaway here? And Healthcare came up with the Past Life deck too, as the card that I would pick. The Wisdom. Of the snake wrapping itself around the horn of the unicorn. The truth shall set you free. Remember, the finger of God is the horn, basically, of the unicorn too. Like going in, you're the